Preventing World War III and recession imminent. It's 5 in 10 from Skywatch TV for Friday, March 7th, 2025. I'm Derek Gilbert with our Friday 5, the 5 big stories of the week in about 10 minutes. Item number 5 today, World War III. Told you yesterday about President Trump's pause in intelligence sharing with Ukraine is confirmed by CIA Director John Ratcliffe, not FBI Director, as I called him yesterday, CIA Director John Ratcliffe on Fox Business with Maria Bartiromo. The media have not actually discussed what President Trump has done. By referring to it as intelligence sharing, it sounds like we're just not sharing certain bits of information that might be useful to Ukraine on the battlefield. What President Trump actually did is pause the exclusive drone and missile targeting systems controlled by U.S. intelligence, the CIA, the National Reconnaissance Office, and the U.S. National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. And by the way, credit to the conservative Treehouse blog and website for this analysis. If that's not part of your daily reading routine, it really should be, the conservative Treehouse. Anyway, these mapping systems, the missile and drone targeting systems, these are what military forces inside Ukraine need to carry out these drone and missile strikes that they've been launching using the American HIMARS and ATACMS long-range missiles to hit inside Russia. Yes, the U.S. forces on the ground there, U.S. Special Forces, U.K. Special Forces, have been training Ukrainians, but they are not giving them the highly classified, tightly controlled encryption keys needed to operate those systems. In other words, the United States and United Kingdom are the forces doing the actual fighting when it comes to these missile and drone launches landing inside Russia. And you'd better believe Vladimir Putin, the Kremlin, Russian intelligence is very much aware of this. In fact, they've been saying so openly for the last year and a half. Now, while the United States has stopped sharing this information with Ukraine, it is still sharing it with GCHQ, MI6, UK intelligence, in other words, which means if there is a missile launch into Russia from Ukraine, if NATO, the EU, the UK, the CIA actually goes ahead and launches, despite the president's order that this information not be shared anymore, then there will be a very serious breach of what Trump has ordered, a violation of the Trump order. And at that point, President Trump is liable to do something radical, make a radical change in the U.S. relationship with NATO, with the United Kingdom, and maybe even the Five Eyes intelligence consortium. That's the U.S., Canada, the United Kingdom, Australia, and New Zealand. We are certainly living in very interesting times. And again, President Trump trying to put a stop to what is on the verge of becoming World War III. Topic number 4 today, chips. Not talking about what our friends in the UK mistakenly refer to as chips, like French fries. Is what I'm not talking about that. Talking about semiconductors. President Trump held a press briefing earlier this week. This is kind of a big deal, a $100 billion investment from the Taiwanese chip company TMSC to build plants inside the United States. TMSC is the world's #1 manufacturer of semiconductors. According to this investment, quote, President Trump saying, quote, we'll be at close to 40% of the chips market with this transaction and a couple of others that we're doing, end quote. This investment to produce semiconductor chips in the state of Arizona. Now, this is a big deal. We are aware of the danger posed by technocracy, this headlong, mad rush to create artificial superintelligences and the total surveillance state, which we kind of already have, but will become even easier for globalists when the chips become more and more powerful. But the fact is the world is run on semiconductors, processing chips. You're probably watching this on a device that is powered by a chip. And with all of these chips, or the majority of these chips now being produced in Taiwan, which at some point, possibly sooner rather than later, will come under the control of the Chinese Communist Party, moving production from Taiwan to the United States is just a very strategic move for the long term. Topic number 3, the economy. I told you earlier this week, the Atlanta Fed's GDP Now model, which forecasts U.S. economic growth or lack thereof, has downgraded its estimate, as you can see on the chart behind me there, from a first quarter estimate of 2.3% growth to 1.5% contraction. But signals have been warning of an imminent recession for quite some time. In fact, since 2022, as inflation overheated the U.S. economy thanks to the economic shutdown caused by COVID and then the trillions of dollars worth of stimulus that was just pumped into the economy. More money in circulation means each individual dollar is worth less. That's what causes inflation, more money in circulation. Well, one reliable inflation, or rather recession indicator, is the spread between 10-year treasuries and 2-year treasuries. These are bonds sold by the U.S. Treasury Department. When those rates invert, in other words, 10-year interest rate goes lower than the 2-year interest rate and then stays there for some period of time, investors are trying to hedge against risk by locking in longer-term rates rather than gambling on a shorter-term rate that may then turn against them. Anyway, the rates inverted in July of 2022. On average, when that happens, a recession follows about 14 months later, give or take. Now, this has been slow in coming because obviously we're well past that 14-month window. But unemployment has been trending upward since April of 2023. And as we've been saying periodically over the last year and a half or so, the Bureau of Labor Statistics has been fudging those numbers. But now that there's not a Democrat in the White House, apparently the bureaucrats at BLS no longer feel compelled to fudge those numbers, not protecting a Democrat in the White House who's running for re-election or his vice president who is now running for anyway. But these numbers, these trends are consistent with what the American public has been saying for quite some time. The economy ain't good. And the only good news out of all this, the short-term pain of the recession, means that inflation will finally come down and get back under control. Item number 2, the Epstein files. Just following up on what we said earlier this week, it does appear that these files that were demanded by Attorney General Pam Bondi a week ago, wanted them on her desk last Friday morning at 8 a.m. She said Monday night on Fox News that, they were delivered. And the FBI now going through to make sure that victims of Epstein's trafficking will not be subject to additional media scrutiny. Now, how long this will take, we don't know. FBI Director Kash Patel has a team going through these. We will see what we see. I had predicted earlier in the week that we would not see these ever. I suspect that we're not going to get any really juicy revelations, but I've been wrong before. I mean, you might remember back in 2022, until the moment Russia crossed the border into Ukraine, I was still saying I didn't think Putin was going to invade. So we'll see what we see. Coming up, it appears the media has declared open season on Joe Biden. That's next on 5 and 10.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you can support the ministry of Skywatch TV and our continued efforts to share the gospel of Jesus Christ throughout the 4 corners of the world and receive your very own copy of this urgent new work when you order the Tracking Toward Tribulation special offer. Not only does this incredible opportunity include Terry James' new book, Tracking Toward Tribulation and the Any Moment Intervention by Jesus Christ, but it also includes Terry's best-selling book, Lawless, End Times War Against the Spirit of Antichrist. This book reveals how the spiritual forces behind global chaos and demonic rage are signs of Christ's imminent return. But that's not all. Right now, this special offer also includes Unraveling Revelation, The 4 Horsemen on DVD featuring Derek and Sharon Gilbert. This incredible DVD uncovers the biblical truth behind the riders of the apocalypse, the chariots of Zechariah, the Watchers, Babylon, Hermes, Hades, and even death itself. Sold separately, these items hold a retail value of over $80. Yours now for your donation of only $45, which includes free shipping to all U.S. orders. You can scan the QR code on your screen using the camera app on your phone for instant access to this special opportunity. You can also visit us at skywatchtvstore.com or call 1-844-750-4985 and ask for the Tracking Toward Tribulation special offer right now.
Item number 1 today. Apparently, it's okay now to be critical of Joe Biden. Told you last week about CNN news anchor Jake Tapper, who's just written a new book called Original Sin about why the media covered up for Joe Biden's obvious cognitive decline for the previous 5 years? Even though Tapper was one of those covering up for Joe Biden's obvious cognitive decline for the previous 5 years? Well, now another member of the media, NBC's Chuck Todd, is piling on. He's suddenly admitting that Joe Biden is a bald-faced liar. He said on the podcast of Lincoln Project co-founder Steve Schmidt, the Lincoln Project, those are never Trump Republicans. Todd said, quote, Joe Biden never should have been there in the first place, right? Number one, he shouldn't have run for president in 2020. Going on to say, quote, I completely got so angry at Joe Biden, the man, when I read the transcript of the Hunter Biden trial, and when I realized that not one, not two, but three Biden children, and I count Bo's widow, Bo Biden, the son who passed away from cancer, were all dealing with drug problems in 2018. And Joe Biden said, now's a perfect time to run for president because who cares about our family, end quote. Well, look, those of us who are watching it from the outside, we're kind of aware of this. Todd is saying this now, just like Jake Tapper is, to kind of preserve some shred of credibility so that people will still listen to them when it comes time for their analysis for the midterm elections in 2026 and the next presidential election in 2028. So people won't say, yeah, you were saying Joe Biden was fine when he clearly wasn't. Why should we listen to you? This is trying to rehabilitate their image. It's funny, though, that these high-paid, multi-million-dollar news anchors on network news programs can't see what those of us working out of a barn in the Ozarks have been seeing and talking about for the last 5 years. I get it kind of helps when you don't have much to lose. Or when you're more worried about telling the truth for who you're ultimately going to answer to, right? This week, we talk about end times prophecy with expert Terry James, his new book, Tracking Toward Tribulation. It's an anthology written by a number of prophecy experts. Fascinating book. And he addresses the question this week, are we seeing signs of the Great Tribulation already? You can watch the program. Our over-the-air broadcast schedule is posted at skywatchtv.com/channels, but we can broadcast on your schedule. Whenever it's convenient for you, just go to your set-top box, Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, if you have the Skywatch TV channel installed. It's free, do that, and we will come right to your big screen whenever you hit the button on the remote. You can also watch us on the internet. We're at YouTube at Skywatch Television. Subscribe, share, click the bell for notifications, and hit the like button. We're also on Rumble, rumble.com/Skywatch TV. You can also download our programming right to your smartphone or tablet. Our mobile app is free. It's available for iOS, Android, and Amazon Kindle Fire devices, and we have links to their app stores at skywatchtv.com/app. Keep up with what's going on. Follow us on YouTube at 5 in 10 or on X at 5_in_10. And thank you for watching as we keep watch. Have a blessed weekend. I'm Derek Gilbert. This is 5 in 10 from Skywatch TV.